This is AJ with iCracked. Today we are going to disassemble two iPhone 5s. They were released by Apple this morning at 8 a.m. and it's about 8:45 here in beautiful California. And we are going to be removing the screens and seeing what the internals look like. And as always, you can buy any parts you need to do any repairs from our website at iCracked.com. But let's get started. So here's the black iPhone 5, and then we have yet to open the white iPhone 5. We're certainly excited to get in these and see what Apple's come up with. They make incredible products, so we're going to be here to fix them if and when they break. So as you can see here, we have two functioning phones. One's just turning on for the first time. So let's take them out and get started with this. Alright, so here's the two iPhone 5s, and the tools we're going to be using today is we have a Weeha Phillips head, a plastic nylon spudger, and a pentalobe driver that is only used for the bottom two screws, a suction cup for removing the screen and LCD, and a SIM card opener. As always, it's a good idea to turn off the phone and remove your SIM card to start out, so we're going to turn off both these phones. And remove the SIM cards. These are a different type of SIM. These are it's a little bit smaller than the last, as you can see. So you're going to have to reactivate new SIMs even if you're moving from a 4S to the 5. So there are the two SIM card trays. So the first way to get in the phone is you have to go into the two pentalobe screws. As you can see, there's 1 and 2 on either side of the lightning dock connector. So we're going to remove those pentalobes with a proprietary pentalobe driver. You can see even the screws on the bottoms of the phones, differing from the black and the white, are different color screws. And just going off of some other differences between the white and the black models, both 32 gigs, you can see that the white actually has a white audio jack port, the black has an internally black one, and the same goes for the dot connectors. And just about everything is similar parts, different colors, so just keep that in mind if you have a white or a black phone. So right now we are going to use our suction cup to remove the screen and LCD. You can see there's a frame, LCD, home button, ear speaker, it's all one piece, and you use the suction cup, put it right above the home button, right there, make sure it's on there firm. If your screen is cracked and you're not getting a good connection with the suction cup, you can always use masking tape over the cracks and then use the suction cup. And you may have to use your nylon spudger to pry in there to actually remove the display. And so what we're going to do is we're going to be opening this like a clamshell. We're going to be pulling up at an angle. And you got to be very careful because there's 3 or 4 connections right here on the logic board. That's your LCD, ear speaker, and digitizers. So you got to be very careful. So we're going to use the suction cup and start to slowly pry it open. You got to be gentle. As you can see, it's coming up a little bit. You can use your nail to get it up a little bit, and then you're going to be pulling it off. So we have it coming up a little bit, so I'm going to use my thumb on there, use the plastic pry tool, put it in there, and this is just to get a little leverage as you're opening it. You got to be careful of the LCD, but it should pop off. So we have it coming off like that, and we're going to be prying it. You can see it opens up. Keep that hinge angle, and we're going to look right under here. There's 3 screws, 1, 2, and 3 that we're going to remove that are holding down the flex cables to the logic board. So grab your Phillips head screwdriver and you can remove them. It helps if the screwdriver is magnetic. Makes this process a lot easier. So there's screw 1, screw 2. And we also sell a magnetic flow chart that will walk you through each step of this repair. And when you put your screws on the flow chart, they'll actually stick to it, so you don't ever have to worry about losing it. And it's really a step-by-step instruction on repairing on repairing your phone. So we'll grab that third screw. And here's, it just looks like a little shield, and also used to keep the cables on the logic board. So we're going to put that aside with those 3 screws in the order we removed them. And as you can see right here, we have cables that are connecting the LCD and digitizer assembly to the logic board. So we're going to use our plastic pry tool. You got to be very careful because you don't want to knock any things off the logic board. So we popped up what looks like the digitizer cable. Here's the LCD cable. Pop that up. And then we have a third cable underneath it with some foam that we're going to gently clip this up, unclip this from the logic board. So that is unclipped. And as you can see, the 3 cables connecting the logic board are removed. And we'll try to get a close-up of that. And so you can set this aside. And then so what right now, you have a full assembly for an iPhone 5 where your home button is attached, and the home button wires, the flex cable and the connectors are right here with 2 screws, so you're going to need to remove that if you're switching the LCD. And then you also have your ear speaker, proximity sensor, front facing camera, microphone, and ambient light sensor, all in this unit right there, which we'll remove. And then you have your EMF shield and what looks like a water sensor on the back of the screen right here, that little white thing. So let's remove the white screen and see if there's the similarities and differences between the white and the black screen. So we're going to set the black one aside right there. Here, we'll turn it upside down. And then we're going to do the same thing with the white one. So as you can see, we're going to use the suction cup above the home button. And same clamshell design. We've already removed the 2 pentalobe screwdrivers. They're a special type of screw, 1 and 2. So we removed those, and then we're going to be opening it. And you're gonna feel some resistance as the adhesive that has it on, that holds the digitizer and LCD assembly on, may not want to come off. So now that we've removed the LCD and digitizer assembly from the black iPhone 5, we're going to do a white one just so we can compare parts and the internals of these devices. So we're going to use the same process as we did for removing the black LCD and digitizer assembly. We're going to put the suction cup above the home button, and you have to be very persistent with this, but you're going to put the suction cup there and then clamshell open at an angle to remove the screen and LCD. Just as important, keep in mind that there's 3 cables connecting the full assembly to the logic board that you don't want to rip off that are right here. So you got to be careful. And then we're going to be applying the suction cup and slowly pulling open the assembly. So you can see it's coming up a little bit. You might have to use your thumb to pry it open, or you can use your plastic pry tool. You got to be careful, but you can put your pry tool in it and then use it as a lever to open the full assembly. So we're going to keep pulling. You can see it's starting to come up. You have that good angle. You want to open it, and as it's opening, we're going to get in and make sure we're not pulling or stressing any of these wires. So as we're opening, you can see that we have the 3 screws and the shields holding them to the logic board right there. We're going to remove those 3 screws, and as always, we can put them on a magnetic flow chart that we sell that will walk you through all of the ins and outs of these repairs, and you don't have to worry about losing screws because they'll stick to the flow chart. So we're going to remove these 3 screws. And then there's that shield that we were talking about. So you see that shield? Remove that. And then there's 3 wires that are attaching the full assembly to the logic board. You have your digitizer, your LCD, and then your camera, and ear speaker, and proximity sensor wire. So you're going to remove it, pop it off. There's 1. Use your plastic tool. Don't use anything metal while doing this. There's number 2, and then number 3 is under it with a little bit of foam on top. You can pop that off and then remove that assembly just like that. So we'll remove the suction cup. And so right now what we have here is we have 2 iPhone 5s, a black and a white, that we're both going to look at the similarities and differences between them, and then we'll continue the teardown process. So you can see the same home buttons, same cameras, everything. It's really just a color difference, but Apple went as far as to change minute details like the docks being different colors, the headphone jacks being different colors. But on the internals, you're looking at very similar internals. So let's we'll take this and then we'll get into the assembly and then we'll get back to the logic board. So we're going to walk through the disassembly of this full assembly. What we have here is as we've mentioned before, your home button, your ear speaker with which has a microphone, a front-facing camera, your 3 wires connecting this to the logic board, and your sensors in here, and you can tell that this is magnetized right there, so that's your ear speaker. So let's start out and we'll remove the home button. And so you remove these 2 screws. And this is going to be to replace, if you have a faulty home button, this is going to be the steps to replace it. Very easy to replace, so that's very good news. So to remove the home button, there's adhesive holding on this flex cable on this mid frame. So a hair dryer or a heat gun, which is what we're going to use right here, on the low setting should loosen up that adhesive. So we're just going to hit it with it for about 5 to 10 seconds. That should be enough. We're just trying to loosen up this adhesive so you don't tear a flex cable. If your flex cable is bad, you're going to be replacing it anyways. But so you see that we heated it up, and then we're going to be peeling this off after we've removed those 2 screws. So for this, we'll use our tweezers, and we will be peeling that off. So as you see that we have the home button flex cable, the 2 screws go in right there, 1, 2, and then this is the actual button. Very similar to last generations, different connections. And then you can see these 2 connections right there will connect to the logic board, 1 and 2 right there, to give the signal that the home button has been pressed. So now that we've removed that, let's see about taking the actual home button out itself. So we're going to be pressing down on it, and it should just pop off like that. And you can see that the home button has come out rather easily with a nice rubber gasket and a metal connector to just help bridge that connection on there. So you're clicking that, and there's your home button assembly. If you're doing a full assembly replacement, you may have to replace the home button, but I mean, it's 2 screws and you just got to be careful not to rip it. So that is the home button. And so moving on to the full assembly, we have 2 screws right here and then another screw right there. So let's dive in with that. So we removed those 2 screws, and you can use some tweezers to gently remove that. And as you can see, what we just removed with these 2 screws is the ear speaker. There's magnetic, and you can see the port that the ear speaker will transmit sound to, and then you can see where the speaker is actually connected on these 2 pads right here. So that's your ear speaker if you need to replace that. Very simple. And moving on to this, we can see that the front-facing camera, now that we've removed that, so let's try to gently pull off that front-facing camera, and you'll see that it's peeling off rather easily. So now that we've removed the ear speaker, you can see where the 2 ear speaker connects right there. We're going to remove the front-facing camera, which is right here, used for FaceTime. And there is a little bit of adhesive connecting these flex cables that connect to the speaker. So we're going to peel this back gently, and then as you can see, here's the camera, and then under it you have a 3rd microphone. On the 4S it had 2 microphones for ambient noise processing. On this one it has a 3rd on the front, so you're going to gently want to remove or just slide that out of place. And you can see where the camera fits in, the microphone, and then your ear speaker fits in right there. You might want to use your heat gun again so you don't tear any wires, but you're going to have to heat this up to remove the, or to warm up the adhesive. So we're going to heat this up a little bit. Just get it a little warm. And then we're going to be using our tweezers so we don't have to worry about tearing any of these cables. So as you can see, we've removed both the camera, the flex cable, which is the microphone, camera, proximity and ambient light sensor, and ear speaker connector. We've removed that from the frame, which is right there, and we've also removed the home button, which was 2 screws, and gently removing it so you don't rip any of the flex cable right there. So what's next is the 6 screws to remove this metal plate, which with our best guess is a heat sink as well as a EMF shield, as well as for structural rigidity. So we're going to remove these 6 screws. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you're familiar with the 3GS or the 3G, it's going to be very similar. So we got screws 1. It helps with a magnetized screwdriver. Screw 2. And screw 3 up here. And then we're removing 3 more screws on the other side. So screw 1. Screw 2. And the reason we have the white assembly right next to it is we're going to compare the parts that we've removed, and then screw 3 is on the bottom by the home button. We're going to compare the parts that we've removed with the full assembly so you guys can see what you have to remove. So we've taken the 6 screws out, and you can see there's a water sensor right there. So we're going to use a thumbnail and start prying this up, and you can see it comes up very easily. So you want to gently remove that so you don't damage the back of the LCD. So as you can see right here, we've just removed this plate, and what we're getting down to the bare bones digitizer and LCD, which is in-cell technology, so it removes one more pane of glass from the digitizer, which allows the LCD to actually be mated to the digitizer as one unit. So let's get a little closer in here so you guys can see what this looks like fully removed. You can see that we removed the front-facing camera, the ear speaker, all the electronics, and this is the part that will be used for the screen replacement. You can see that it connects right there. And so let's just compare what we've had to remove, and then we'll reassemble it for this is the full unit, and this is a stripped unit. So you can see that the ear speaker we removed, the front-facing camera, the bottom or the microphone, so it's the 3rd microphone, your home button, and this whole assembly. And let's go ahead and reassemble this so you can look like we can walk you through what it'll look like to reassemble this if you're replacing the screen. So you want to be careful that none of this adhesive is damaged or like chipped, because it will mess with the LCD. So we're gonna put this back on like that. Just gently drop it in. And then we're going to start reassembling those 6 screws. And so I'm pulling the screws from a magnetic flow chart that we have, and I'll be happy to show you what one of those will look like here in a second. And I mean, we're certainly excited about this device. Apple released it this morning at 8 a.m. so this is our first time to get in this device as well. And I think Apple did a great job as far as repairability goes, and how the components are arranged on both the logic board and on this full assembly. So we have these 6 screws that have gone back on, and the last one down here. What's next is let's put the front-facing camera in, and you got to be careful to align it correctly because we do have the microphone right there. So what we're going to do for this is, if you watch closely, we're going to put the microphone in. So you want to do it this direction. So you stick this. You can see where the microphone is right there. We are going to be dropping that in a little hole next to the ear speaker port. And so now that the microphone is in there, we're going to fold the camera up over it like this. And you can see how it folded up over. And then where the adhesive, where we removed it, and the ear speaker connects onto, we're going to gently drop in there, and you'll feel it click in right there. And we're still applying a little bit of pressure on this. And so now that we have this connected, you can set it down. and we're going to be putting on the ear speaker. So here's the ear speaker. You can see that this little port right here lines up with the ear speaker port right there. So we're going to drop this down on it right there. It doesn't have to be perfect right now. And then we're going to grab this metal bracket right there that has 2 screws, and you want to line it up right there, and then you want to apply pressure as you're going to be screwing these in. So you're applying pressure, and you have screws 1 and screws 2 right there. The taller one, they're the longer screw, so you can see right there, goes on the top. And the smaller screw goes on the bottom right here. Now that we've put these 2 screws on, you can see that it's starting to look just as it did before we disassembled it. Everything lines up. Okay, so what we're going to be doing next is we're going to be putting the home button back onto the frame. You can see right here, here's the square rubber gasket and then the home button, and you can see that there's 2 screws, 1 and 2, that hold the flex cable and assembly on there. So we're going to be taking this home button, put it on the new frame, and then you're going to flip this upside down so that the 2 contact points you can see right there are going to be attached to the frame via a little bit of adhesive. So you can just push down and they'll stick back on, and then you're going to use 2 screws to put these back on. So now that we've gotten both screws on, you're starting to look exactly like the full assembly showed you. You have your home button, speaker, cameras all lined up. And let's go about reassembling this on the device. So for this, now that we have this, we'll do it on the iPhone, or the white iPhone 5. So there's a couple things you need to be careful with. So yeah, we always flip this over like this as we're doing it, because we're going to be connecting 3 ribbon cables. Ribbons cables 1, 2, and 3, which is your LCD digitizer, camera, speaker, everything on this 3rd one. So we're going to be reconnecting this upside down, as you can see. And there's 1 ribbon. You got to be very careful with these cables so you don't mess up, because they're very sensitive. So you got one with this pad on top of it, and we're going to put it there, hold it at an angle, and then use your finger and you can feel it clip in. So that clipped in. And then we're going to do the 2nd cable, the one right on top of it. You just got to take your time, and you got to be gentle so you can hear it snap in. And then the 3rd, the digitizer cable, clips in. You're gonna feel a clip every time that you feel them clip in. So you can hear that clip in. So now that we've connected these 3 cables, you're gonna put your shield that holds them to the logic board back on. So it's the shield right here, and there's 3 screws, 1, 2, and 3. We're gonna grab the shield and drop it on the logic board right there, and you can kind of feel it click where it should go. And then we're going to put these screws. Probably best to do the bottom right one first so it can line up the other 2. So now that we have those 3 screws lined up right there, and that's on tight, you can see where the digitizer and the frame will fit on the logic board. So we're going to be gently putting it back down like this. As you're putting it on, you have to be aware of the little clips on this top frame right here that you're actually going to clip into the frame like that. And then we're doing the same angle that we used to open it up. So we're going to be doing the same angle, and then we're going to be clipping in while applying pressure right here. So you'll watch it, and it should just got to apply a little pressure and clip it in, and then you have your reassembled iPhone 5. So let's put back in the SIM card, and then the 2 pentalobe screws. So these are the proprietary screws. They're not a Phillips head. Put the 2 pentalobe screws in. And now that we have the screen that's been replaced on this, we're going to power it on and test everything. So this is important. So power it on. You can see the logo just turned on. And then we're gonna walk through the test for all this, and we just did a full screen replacement. So now that we have replaced the screen, LCD, and swapped out components, here's the assembly and here's the new phone. We're going to want to turn it on to make sure everything works. So the iPhone 5, we haven't even activated it yet because we picked it up this morning, but that is your first screen replacement of the iPhone 5 and how it's going to look. As always, you can visit us online at iCrack.com. We'll be more than happy to help you. We have hundreds of technicians in over 10 countries, and yeah, we're here to help you guys, and I appreciate your support because we're having a lot of fun trying to repair these devices. They're the best devices in the world, and we're just trying to make them better. So once again, feel free to visit us, and thank you for watching.